Thanks for joining us for another edition of Inside Tulsa Athletics as we continue to follow the athletic program of the Tulsa Public Schools. A very good show lined up for you today as we're going to be visiting with the Gil Cloud staff here at the Education Service Center and what they do to help athletics in the Tulsa Public Schools. And then we're going to bring aboard the Athletic Director of the Year for the middle school and the Athletic Director of the Year for the high school. All of that's coming up right here on Inside Tulsa Athletics. Don't go away. We're coming right back.
I'd heard of TTCU, but I didn't really understand the difference.
We really want everyone to, know what's going on, what the process is. We have members that come in all the time just to ask us a question. It might not even have to do with TTCU. It just might be a personal finance question. The difference is simple. Everything we do is for the members.
Not-for-profit, member-owned, TTCU, the credit union.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics as we welcome aboard Steve Friebus. He is the coordinator of sports medicine for the Tulsa Public Schools, and one now that you stay awful busy, don't you?
Yes, we do. It's always planning, always preparing for what's coming next.
And we've talked about this before, but I think we need to talk about it again. The National Football League grant that you are involved with.
Yeah, we were able to secure a grant for each of the high schools that will help develop and expand athletic training services at each of those high schools so that we can better care for our athletes, watch for concussions, heat illness, things like that, reporting injuries, taking care of injuries, preventing injuries. So we're real excited about that.
And Steve, that is so much more important, and people are more aware of it than before, and as a result of that, that makes your position even more important to the athletic programs of the Tulsa Public Schools.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I'm always wanting to look out for the kids, and how can I expand those services, give them better care, better coverage, and, it's tough. If I can have somebody at each of those schools, that'll definitely make my job easier. But it's not about trying to make my job easy. It's just trying to get the best care in the most timely fashion to those who need it.
How about the Orthopedic Hospital grant that you have received, and kind of explain to our audience what that's all about? Yeah,
the Oklahoma Surgical Hospital last year gave us a grant to fund one athletic trainer, and Patrick Corbett, goes by PJ. He's been a tremendous benefit, tremendous help for us. Although he typically kind of bases out of Memorial High School, he's been available to go throughout the district as I do, because sometimes I'm at one end of the district looking at 2 or 3 kids at different schools, and so if a coach is on the other end of the district and says, hey, can you come look out at one of my kids, I can call PJ up and say, hey PJ, can you go over to that school, because by the time practice is over, I won't be able to make it all the way over there. We have a big district, but they renewed that for this year. And so PJ's been tremendous in helping coordinate doctor's appointments and getting kids, in to be seen, and, or helping make those recommendations. No, let's try this rehab first, or no, you need to go get an X-ray. We need to find out exactly what's going on with you. Just talking to coaches, providing services, advice. It's been very, very, very good for our kids.
And Steve, to me, that is so important that you can get a student in. You can an athlete in, a player in, real quickly.
Yeah, we have agreements with a lot of the local orthopedic groups, OU physicians. If somebody needs to be seen, we make a quick phone call, and usually they're in within 24 to 48 hours. If it's an emergency need, of course, we recommend they go to an urgent care or the emergency room. But for your standard, do I need to get this or do I not? Insurance often dictates how we do things. Some require you go to the primary care physician, but even that, we try to help facilitate that and let them know, look, this isn't just your typical average, skateboard injury. This is an athlete. They want to know whether they can play on Friday night. We need to have answers a little sooner than later.
And the ESPN grant clinic that was just finished, give us information on that.
Yeah, I've been going to the USA Football annual convention for the last couple of years and really got to know the program. And what their goal is to teach coaches to be better coaches at teaching the athletes how to play the game safer. And so through an ESPN grant, we were able to host a player safety coach clinic here. We hosted it this last Saturday at Edison High School. Had about 30 participants, primarily our coaches, and it went through things like heat illness, sudden cardiac arrest, concussion recognition treatment, also helmet equipment, helmet fitting, shoulder pad fitting. You know, when the instructor asked the question, how many of you have ever been formally taught how to fit a helmet or how to fit shoulder pads? And there was a few hands that kind of went up, and it was more like, well, somebody showed me, but nobody had ever gone through the formal training. And so they went through the formal training of exactly what to do, and they now feel empowered to really make sure the kid's in the right equipment, not kind of, yeah, go find something that feels good in the back closet there. And we'll be able to document that and then know that the kid's in the right thing for them. And then we went out on the field and we talked about technique in terms of blocking and tackling and how to take the head out of the game and use your shoulder, use your mass, and to be able to tackle and block in a safe manner. And they gave progressions and a common terminology so that the kid will understand when a coach uses certain words, it cues their mind, I need to do this, you know, in terms of just breakdown. But breakdown involves feet, shoulders, hips, and hands. So there's cues on all those different things. So hopefully we'll play the game safer, more effectively, and have better outcomes.
And the people that attended this clinic, were they all Tulsa Public Schools, or they were from Northeast Oklahoma?
We had two coaches that were from outside Tulsa Public Schools. I really emphasize that we as a district are going to basically this year it was extremely recommended.
Yes.
Next year it will be basically required. And that we want all our coaches to be certified, and that's a 4 video series, and then we want at least 1 to 2 coaches who are what they call player safety coaches. They're designated as player safety coaches on each of our teams. So we have 9 high schools and 11 middle schools, so that'd be 20 to 40 people that we want designated in that role. And that's so that if there is an equipment issue, they're also to teach their peers, or to teach their other coaches within their team how to do the same things. But that way, you know, we can all be on the same page and we can be better prepared.
And Steve, I think it would be very interesting to see next year as you go through how many of the coaches and how many of the people who attended can profit from this. That's going to be interesting, but we're about out of time here.
True.
But we'll pick that up next year, okay?
Will do.
Stay with us. More coming up on Inside Tulsa Athletics right after this.
I'd heard of TTCU, but I didn't really understand the difference.
We really want everyone to, know what's going on, what the process is. We have members that come in all the time just to ask us a question. It might not even have to do with TTCU. It just might be a personal finance question. The difference is simple. Everything we do is for the members.
Not for profit, member owned, TTCU, the credit union.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
So I work in production, and I help cover a lot of college football games. There's a ton of running and lots of travel all over the place. You might think I'd go with a mega bank for the convenience, but actually I just switched to TTCU. I could have signed up online, but I decided just to walk in, and I'm so glad I did. Just for opening a checking account, they gave me $50 and $50 to a local school. And now when I travel, it's like a little piece of home is always with me. It really is unbeatable.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics as we bring aboard Jen Sanders, who is Assistant Athletic Director for the Tulsa Public Schools. And Jen, always a pleasure having you aboard.
It's great to be here, JV.
And when we take a look at what is happening and what is going on, and the fact that as an Assistant Director of Athletics, you have so many different things that come about. And talk about the advisory project for student athletes.
Well, we've started this advisory project this past year where students have come up with ideas and ways that they can help their community. And one of the things that came out of that was a young man by the name of Marquise Izell from McLain has developed a project where we're going to, hopefully, when all of our permits go through, we're going to tear down a car wash near McLain High School and create a green space where they'll have a community garden, things of that nature. You know, we were hoping to start, break ground in May, and of course, all the weather and the rain that we've had, that this project's been pushed back a bit, but we're hoping, around the middle of June to break ground, and then July have an opening day, and those seniors from that advisory committee, it'll be their last time to meet and visit with each other and open up this great green space there near McLain.
And another area here that we talk a lot about, and it seems like you are so productive in the sports donations.
It's been fun. This is my first year, and we got to really get out there and work on some grants and things like that. And it's important that we do that and we keep up with the grants that are available for schools, and especially here for Tulsa Public Schools. And this year we got a Good Sports grant donation. They donated 7,600 pieces of equipment, over $38,000 worth of equipment. And just in the city of Tulsa, actually Good Sports donated $70,000 worth in total. So it was really fun. We went out, Dr. Pepper and Snapple, they had their people out there along with Quick Trip, and they were packing these huge kits full of basketballs and footballs and soccer balls and, soccer equipment and agility training equipment and things that, coaches really would like to probably order, but with the budget the way it is, they can't order those extra things. So we're very grateful from the folks from Good Sports and Let's Play that they were able to donate that equipment. And it was all brand new equipment to our schools. And every high school and every middle school will receive one of those kits. So, it's just great to have a group like that willing to donate their time and some money to our kids.
I can't help but think how satisfying you must be when you can do this sort of thing, help kids, help the coaching staff, help the program, and it's just as big as if you were sitting on the bench winning and losing at a game, isn't it?
Yeah, and I've been there, and it's you get that rush of whenever you do win a game, or even when you were a player and you hit that last second shot. When those kids, you bring in this equipment and they open the boxes, and I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. They open the boxes and there's all this new equipment that they probably never thought they would receive, and the fact that they know that someone out there cares about them enough to do that is so important.
And something that you've been involved in that just seems like it has taken off. The growth is just impossible. Where it's going, I don't have a clue, and I'm talking about the growth of the bike racing.
Bike club has become a huge deal here in Tulsa, and not just, within our schools, but cycling in Tulsa in general. We now have downtown bike lanes, and they're marked, and, you can get from one place to another biking easily downtown. So it's been important. We're also going to add 3 more elementary schools, along with probably a middle school and then another high school. This past year, we actually had some kids from Nathan Hale High School who are now in competition racing, which is really, really neat for those kids. And maybe they aren't the football player or the basketball player, but they're on the cycling team, which is important because cycling is such a lifelong activity. And to give those kids the opportunity to do that here in Tulsa is probably one of the few in the nation that's going on right now. So.
I think it's going to be so interesting just what you got through saying about it being a lifelong activity. As I drive around Tulsa, I see so many extremely old, like me, out riding a bicycle. Yeah. And I think that's wonderful that they do that, and you can tell they're doing it with a compassion.
Right, and that's true. I mean, Tulsa's cycling community is huge, and that's the big reason why Bike Club is such a success. Is the cycling community, they're able to come in and they volunteer their time with those kids at Bike Club, which gives the kids an opportunity to build a relationship with someone outside of the school.
And another point here, the Fit to Learn Conference.
So this is a big conference. It's the 4th year for this conference. We have around 4 or 5 of our TPS employees or PE teachers that will be presenting at this conference. It's a free professional development for all of our PE teachers, and actually PE teachers across the state. And it is developed by the Tulsa Wellness Committee. We also have the Tulsa Health Department, along with many other groups that get together to help put on this this great professional development regarding healthy living, healthy eating, activities that help the brain. So it's just exciting that not only are we having this here in Tulsa, but that our PE teachers here from Tulsa Public Schools have been invited to speak.
And you know, I think that is so important because it seems like that all of us at different ages have kind of come to the point where we just kind of sit down and maybe watch television, maybe listening to something else and not doing the physical activity that we need to be doing.
Right, and that's one of the things we really want to stress within our physical education classes is to develop kids have kids develop activities that are lifelong sports. You know, you may not be able to play basketball or football for the rest of your life, but you can definitely get out and walk and run and ride your bike and, you know, play tennis or golf and things like that. That's so important for us to teach those kids those activities early on.
And you know, when we talk about the bike riding, it just seems like that really once that becomes involved with you, that you are going to be doing it the rest of your life.
We definitely have some kids that are hooked. I mean, we have younger kids that are competing in tournaments and you know, Tulsa Tough's coming up. I think you're going to see some TPS kids.
Jen, always a pleasure having you aboard, and what you're doing for the Tulsa Public Schools is always interesting, and I tell you, it is important, and we just appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, JB.
Stay with us. More coming up on Inside Tulsa Athletics.
I'd heard of TTCU, but I didn't really understand the difference.
We really want everyone to, know what's going on, what the process is. We have members that come in all the time just to ask us a question. It might not even have to do with TTCU. It just might be a personal finance question. The difference is simple. Everything we do is for the members.
Not-for-profit, member-owned, TTCU, the credit union.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
So I work in production, and I help cover a lot of college football games. There's a ton of running and lots of travel all over the place. You might think I'd go with a mega bank for the convenience, but actually I just switched to TTCU. I could have signed up online, but I decided just to walk in, and I'm so glad I did. Just for opening a checking account, they gave me $50 and $50 to a local school. And now when I travel, it's like a little piece of home is always with me. It really is unbeatable.
Thanks for being with us on Inside Tulsa Athletics as we continue talking with the Assistant Director of Athletics at the Tulsa Public Schools, Mick Wilson. Mick, you have something coming up on the first week in June that is exciting. Tell us about it.
Well, it's our 19th annual Tulsa Public Schools Athletic Department Golf Tournament. And it'll be a great day of golf, a great day of stories, a great day of fellowship, a great day of camaraderie. I mean, anything you can think of, we're going to make it a good time, as well as play maybe just a little bit of golf and have a really good time. Hopefully some folks will win some prizes. People will go home with some neat gifts and maybe even win a little bit of money. So it'll be a fun day, but it's a great day and a good time to benefit the athletes and the kids of Tulsa Public Schools.
Friday, June the 2nd, tea time 1 o'clock, lunch at 12 o'clock at LaFortune Stadium, LaFortune Park. They're on south of Yale. And what a day that's going to be.
Well, all we need now is the weather to cooperate, which we've been fortunate the last few years. We've had great cooperation from the weather. But, really you come out and we tell everyone they can show up anywhere starting at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Pat McCrate and Jeremy Deere and their staff at LaFortune Park Golf Course, they do such a wonderful job and they're great hosts. They'll have their entire staff there to carry your bags once you pull up your vehicle there, and they'll unload your bag and carry it up to the cart and get you ready and have hole assignments ready and those kind of things. But even if you get there as early as 10:30, 11 o'clock, you can actually go out and use the putting greens, the practice putting greens. You can actually go use the driving range. So that's all part of it, buckets of balls, whatever you want to do to get there early and sharpen up your game. so to speak, before the tournament starts. So, of course, after that, during that time, we'll have lunch served at noon, followed by a short welcome, and then a shotgun start at 1 o'clock based on your whole assignment.
And you know, the lunch at 12 o'clock, but most of the time they start a few minutes early. And that hour or so that you have for lunch prior to the start of the tournament, to me, it's just like a reunion. I see more people visiting one another, and in many instances, they hadn't seen one another in 4 or 5 years. And they see them and they start telling stories about what happened in Tulsa Public Schools, well, what happened at Webster, what happened at Hale, what happened at Memorial and Edison, Booker T. Washington, all of those schools. That's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's just fun to see a lot of people that you haven't seen in a long time. It's kind of a reunion of sorts, as you said. But we get lots of people that come back and play. A lot of our supporters from the Tulsa area that help us in so many different ways. But it's also a good time for a lot of ex-coaches, ex-teachers, different people to come back, ex-players to come back and spend some time visiting and telling stories and having a good time and really just catching up on their lives and what they're doing now, and really inquiring about, you know, they like to find out who's going to be good next year and if their school's going to have a good competitive team or a championship caliber team. So we get all kinds of things during that time, but it's just a great time to catch up. And you know, what's neat is to sit at the registration table and see all the people come through, and you hear all the names, and you get to spend time with those folks. It makes for a fun day.
Well, give us a number and talk to our audience a little bit about what it's going to cost them to have all of this fun.
Well, we've kept the same price for several years now, and it's $100 per person, or $375 per team if you want to register a team. And we do have some organizations such as TTCU, for example, Eagle Cleaning Service. Michelle Schultz, who's one of our Hall of Famers, has put in a team of local guys that she's going to sponsor. So if you sponsor as a team, it's $375 or $100 for an individual golfer, and that includes everything. That's your fees, you know, the lunch, everything is included on that. Now that doesn't include any of the raffle tickets or any of the whole games, you know, such as closest to the pin or double your money or some things like that, where we have some gimmick holes to have some fun. But $100 will get you out and started. And again, that also provides you a goodie bag. Also gives you, we're providing each golfer this year an embroidered polo similar to what I'm wearing now. So there'll be some good things. But $100 will get you some golf. You can also call Lisa Norman to register. You can go online to our website and garner any information that you need there. But you can also call Lisa Norman at 918-746-6453. And we can also send you information, or you can register by phone. We also do accept check or credit card. Obviously, cash is always handy as well. So any of those forms of payment we accept.
Well, I would like to encourage people, Mick, that you said it cost $100 to play if you weren't in Foursome. Well, you could pay $100 and help the Tulsa Athletic Department, Tulsa Public Schools, come out and have lunch and visit. And if you don't have time to play, that $100 gets you through that. And just think of the fact that there's a lot of people that maybe can't get off work, but you can get off for a long lunch hour. And where could you have a lunch and all of the visiting that you have a chance to do for $100? Nowhere.
Absolutely not. And you know, it makes a great donation for us. And we have had that in the past. Someone they'll pay the $100 and say, I don't really want to play. For example, we have a gentleman just in the office a few days ago that wanted to pay, and he just wanted to know if he could maybe get a cart for 30 minutes and drive around and kind of watch and visit with people. And he said, I won't be able to stay the entire time, but I'll come and eat a hamburger and maybe visit a little bit and then take off. And that's the name of the game. That, you know, at the end, we're not worried about who wins the golf tournament. We're not worried about who wins the most prizes or anything like that. What we really are is just trying to have a good, positive environment for some good public relations for our student athletes and for our district, and then benefit them at the end of the day is just benefit those kids.
Well, I can't wait for it. Friday, June the 2nd, tee time is 1 o'clock at La Fortune Golf Course, and we'll be ready and look forward to seeing you then.
And the most important part, JV, is lunch at noon.
Right.
I've always told people that my favorite subject in school was lunch.
And all of the visitation that you get to do there, you can't beat it.
That's right.
Stay with us. More coming up on Inside Tulsa Athletics right after this.
So I work in production, and I help cover a lot of college football games. There's a ton of running and lots of travel all over the place. You might think I'd go with a mega bank for the convenience, but actually I just switched to TTCU. I could have signed up online, but I decided just to walk in, and I'm so glad I did. Just for opening a checking account, they gave me $50 and $50 to a local school. And now when I travel, it's like a little piece of home is always with me. It really is unbeatable.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
At TTCU, before they make any decision, they ask one simple question. What's best for our members? Take checking accounts. They know it takes effort to move your account, so they make sure it's worth it by giving you and your school $50 when you get a School Pride Visa check card. It's easy to manage your accounts. Here, there, anywhere, and TTCU rewards loyalty. With direct deposit based on your balances, you could earn extra dividends. Rewards? Check at TTCU.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics as we welcome aboard the Athletic Director of the Year in the middle schools of the Tulsa Public Schools, Tammy Altaffer. And Tammy, always a pleasure having you aboard.
Oh, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And when you take a look, you were the Athletic Director of the Year for the middle schools, which was at Central High School, but yet you were coaching the boys and girls track team in Central High School, and you did well this year, didn't you?
Yes, we did really well. I can't complain. We ended up third. My boys ended up third as a team at state. The boys 4x100 meter relay repeated as the state champions again. And let's see, Jared Scott was the runner-up in the 100, 200. So, and we were runner-up in the 800 relay. So I can't complain at all.
How many of those kids you have back next year?
I brought 2 of those back again off of that relay that won. So in all truth, we'll be in it again next year.
Now let's repeat this. You were selected by Gil Cloud as the Athletic Director of the Year for the middle schools of the Tulsa Public Schools. And now when school starts this year, you're going to be the Athletic Director of Central High School. Now, what change will that bring about moving up the ladder?
Well, it'll bring about a great change, you know, for me personally, because it's something that I've wanted to do again. And I'm excited about the new venture, working with all the high school programs. I have great coaches to work for, and I have a great administration at Central to work with.
Well, Tammy, in visiting with you at various times, you can see that you really have a compassion for the administration of athletics in not only the middle school, but in the high school. And I know that you always talk about grades. What are you going to do in that area as you move in to become the Director of Athletics for Central High School?
Well, in moving in with that, I've always done the grades there, and I'm going to continue to do, but I hope to come more to the forefront in helping these young athletes make sure that they're staying on track and making sure that coaches are informed of grades on their kids so that we can keep these kids on track to be scholarship ready by the time they're seniors.
I know in visiting with you, you've always been very compassionate about the number of kids that you have out. You always want to get more. What are you going to do to implement football, basketball, other sports at Central High School?
Well, believe it or not, we've already had one coaches meeting in which we all the head coaches came together, and we've already discussed that. And we've discussed working together more, we feel like as a staff, you know, and that's something I want to bring to them, that coaches are going to have to support other programs. And if we all support each other more, we can get more kids out.
And you know, that is really important, because you can't just live on one area. The whole school is what's important. And it seems like sometimes in this century, we haven't had as much compassion for the school as we have seen in the past. Do you find that at Central, and are you going to try to bring them back together as much as you can?
You know, I think our staff at Central works together really, really well up to this point, but I think we can do better. I think we can improve on it. You know, I think the coaches that we have in place will do an incredible job, and I think we can build working together.
You know, when we look at this, What do you really want to accomplish moving in as the new athletic director at Central High School? I know you have some things in the back of your mind that you would like to get done that would help the Central Braves.
Well, fundraising is a top priority for me because the financial situation right now in the state of Oklahoma, we need to work on that. I plan to work on that. I want to work with the coaches to make sure that we have more scholarships going out the door for our athletes. I want as many kids at college as we can get, along with building our programs. We have some incredible programs there. Of course, boys basketball is always tough at Central, but we're going to focus on girls basketball and getting it to where we need to be, and football's coming, and Kip Shaw will do a great job as our head football coach, and Coach Califf in soccer, he's been there a long time. We're gonna build.
Now, in the coming year, you will be 4A again.
Yes, we will.
And in being 4A, I think sometimes people think, well, that's going to be a lot easier than 5A. But you take the best teams in 4A, they can go play anywhere, can't they?
They sure can. They sure can. 4A is very tough. It's a big bracket that you're looking at with a lot of good schools in it.
You mentioned grades, and I think so many times that that's not emphasized enough, especially from an administrative standpoint. And when you say, as the Director of Athletics at Central High School, you are going to be very knowledgeable about the grade system and whether the kids are meeting that standard.
Yes, I will, because, academics goes hand in hand with athletics. And we have to focus on the academic side of it. If we're going to get these kids college ready, we have to be more vigilant about staying on them.
As you look at the team that you took this year that finished so high in the state, how many of those do you think can qualify to become a college track star?
Believe it or not, Jeremy Birmingham is going to Southern Nazarene on a track scholarship. He'll do really well. And most of my other seniors have a scholarship in one sport or another. Sabor Daniels is going to UCO on a football scholarship. So we're working really hard to get them there. And the two that I return will go to. Maurice Davis is going to up in Kansas to play football at I can't remember right offhand which college he's going to, but he's going to a junior college up there to play.
And I think it's so important for people to realize that for a youngster to come out of high school and get a college scholarship, it doesn't have to be in a Big 12. It doesn't have to be in the Southeast Conference or the Big 10. Whatever school he selects that he can go on a scholarship, that's great for him. Tammy, it's been a pleasure having you with us. We could sit here and visit for a long time, but I know one thing, athletics are in good hand at Central High School.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us on Inside Tulsa Athletics. More coming up right after this.
So I work in production, and I help cover a lot of college football games. There's a ton of running and lots of travel all over the place. You might think I'd go with a mega bank for the convenience, but actually I just switched to TTCU. I could have signed up online, but I decided just to walk in, and I'm so glad I did. Just for opening a checking account, they gave me $50 and $50 to a local school. And now when I travel, it's like a little piece of home is always with me. It really is unbeatable.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
At TTCU, before they make any decision, they ask one simple question. What's best for our members? Take checking accounts. They know it takes effort to move your account, so they make sure it's worth it by giving you and your school $50 when you get a School Pride Visa check card. It's easy to manage your accounts. Here, there, anywhere, and TTCU rewards loyalty. With direct deposit based on your balances, you could earn extra dividends. Rewards? Check at TTCU.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics as we bring aboard the Director of Athletics for McLain High School, Phillip Johnson. And Phillip, a pleasure having you aboard.
Well, thank you.
And when we take a look at what has gone on at McLain High School, you were selected as the Tulsa Public Schools Athletic Director of the Year, and that is a compliment not only to you, but to McLain.
Yes, it's a great honor, and like you said, it's a honor for McLain also. No man is an island. You know, you can't do this by yourself. If it wasn't for the coaches, student athletes, you know, the people in the building, the attendance takers, and the people who do the eligibility, everybody is important in that award.
Phillip, when I look at everything that I have seen at McLain High School, it seems like that you have developed an extremely close relationship, not only with the coaching staffs, but with the players. You help them with if they are having food problems, if they're having transportation problems, whatever problem they may have, you're looking out for the welfare of the players and of the students.
Well, yeah, this is a job, you know, that I do for love. I do it for love, and if you don't love the kids, you're in the wrong business. You're not going to do very well, and you're not going to have fun doing it. Like I said, it's not a job. It's something that I do every day, have no problem getting up, looking forward to the next day. But yeah, we take the kids home if we need to. I mean, I can't imagine how much I've spent on lunch here or there, or, you know, taking a kid, even dropping them off to work. Coach, if I have to stay another 30 minutes, you're gonna have to drop me off to work. No problem. You know, we take care of those things.
Well, I tell you, when you do that and you look at them as success comes to them later on in life,
Right.
the love you had for them, it was worth it, wasn't it?
It's worth it. You know, you get those stories every day. Somebody comes back and tells you something that you've done or something that you've said, and you don't remember, but anything that helps them to get along their way. There are a lot of kids who really appreciate those little things that you do.
What's been the most satisfaction that you've had coming from athletics this past year? Because it seemed like that everything was going well at McLain, and maybe you weren't winning a state championship, but I know a wrestling program that suddenly emerged at McLain. And how's all this taking place?
Well, you know, we've had a couple of programs that kind of achieve more than you thought they would. Of course, basketball is going to always be competitive, but wrestling was one of those that kind of surprised the community and surprised the McLain community. We had a guy, Taywan McNack, who wrestled for the state championship, you know, and I was there that afternoon, and it was one of those matches where, you know, you're sitting on the edge of your seat. It's a 1-0 defeat. He lost to the state champion from last year, and you know, it was down to a takedown or an escape where he could win it. So yeah, wrestling was exciting, and you know, basketball, I think we were one game away from the state tournament. Like, you know, we've always been kind of used to going to the state tournament, but it was an exciting year. It was an exciting year.
But you look at the basketball bracket, and I do remember that very specifically. You didn't get any favors in the drawing that set up the bracket, did you?
JV, in order to get there, man, you've got to beat 3 or 4 teams just to get there. And
Yes.
some of those teams that you beat have beaten you prior to that, and you just, you know, it's really the luck of the draw. And sometimes you'll get somebody who finally gets on a roll, and you think that, oh, we've got this one.
Uh-huh.
It's not happening.
And you know, you take a look at Class 4A, and a lot of people don't realize Class 4A, you take the good teams in 4A, they can play in any classification, can't they?
You take the top 10 in 4A, they can play with anybody. 5A, 6A. I can tell you in tournaments, when they go to play those tournaments, they may lose, but it's a very competitive game. I mean, it's coming down to the last couple of possessions. It's nothing to be ashamed of to be in 4A.
You know, Phillip, as I watch basketball in the winter and watch our 4A teams play in the Tulsa Public Schools, it seems like when they go out and play a 5A team, they are thrilled to death. They want to show them that, hey, we're just as good as 5A.
That's right. I mean, you know, it's 5 of us against 5 of you.
Yes.
And a lot of times it does come down to the depth. You know, that may be the biggest difference when you got a basketball team that has 5 or 6 good players, but when you go to that bench and then you have to deal with their 8th and 9th guy, that's when it kind of tells the tale. But that first 5 or 6, you know, we're all pretty competitive.
As we come to a close here on this year of school, what does it look like for McLain next year?
Well, you know, it's kind of hard to prognosticate, but what I think we're looking forward to mostly is that building. We're looking for a field house, and they're supposed to start, I guess, drilling or building on the 1st of August. And we hope to get in there in a year or a year and a half, and right now that's kind of the big buzz around the school and around the community.
How does football look for next fall?
Well, we're looking for a quarterback. If we can find us a couple of guys who can throw the ball or run the team, you know, we'll be competitive. But like you said, in that 4A, I mean, we're in a conference with Wagner, Cassia, Ulaga. I mean, those two teams play for the state championship every year, and you have 3 of the 4 that's in the finals or semifinals. You know, for us to win 2 or 3 games and ease in there is a big accomplishment. But I would put those Ulagas and those Wagners, they can play with anybody in any class. Again, depth might be the difference, but for half or 3/4, those guys can play with anybody.
We have just a few seconds in football. It's going to be pretty good.
We'll be decent.
If you get that quarterback.
If we get that quarterback.
Always a pleasure having you aboard, Phillip. The very best of luck at McLain.
Well,
and again, congratulations on your award for the Tulsa Public Schools Athletic Director of the Year.
Thank you.
Stay with us. More coming up right after this.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
So I work in production, and I help cover a lot of college football games. There's a ton of running and lots of travel all over the place. You might think I'd go with a mega bank for the convenience, but actually I just switched to TTCU. I could have signed up online, but I decided just to walk in, and I'm so glad I did. Just for opening a checking account, they gave me $50 and $50 to a local school. And now when I travel, it's like a little piece of home is always with me. It really is unbeatable.
We continue inside Tulsa Athletics as we bring aboard the Director of Athletics for the Tulsa Public Schools, Gil Cloud. And Gil, when we take a look at what is happening, athletically speaking, throughout the state, budget and program reduction is affecting everyone.
I'll tell you what, JB, I don't think I've seen it this bad in many, many, many years. You know, I've made the statement before that we went through this in 1985 and then again in 1996. We've had many stoppages of funding there. I think in 2008 there was a little bit of a pause when the economy went bad, but this one is about as bad as anything that I've ever been through, and this is I'm finishing my 47th year in this business, and I don't think I've ever, as 40 years as an athletic director, I've ever had to look at the things that we're looking at now in order to balance the budget. Not only from the standpoint of interscholastic athletics, but also from the standpoint of what services our state government can provide, not just education. Higher education is looking at maybe 20% cuts. We know we've reduced the highway patrol to 100 miles a day they can drive their cruiser. DHS, the same thing. Our prisons right now, I saw the other day, 109% occupancy. I mean, we're 9% over what we can. You know, the services that we have for our citizens. You know, I taught government when I was teaching in the public schools years ago, and one of the things I always told my students, I said, you know, taxes are the price you pay for living in a democracy. Well, we're paying taxes. We all pay taxes. I hope we're all paying taxes. But the problem is we have gotten a mentality that we have to give tax breaks to businesses in order to get them to come to Oklahoma. And we've done that now where it's over $100, $200 million a year in tax breaks that we're losing. The gross production tax has gone from 7% down to 2%. At the same time that a barrel of oil has gone down from $150 to $50 a barrel. So we lost on both ends of the gross production tax. The tax is 5% less, and it's 33% less in what the cost of a barrel is. So, you know, the funding is really a problem. And you know, I read an excerpt this morning in the paper that there's a possibility that in June we're owed, by we I mean the public school system in the state of Oklahoma, $73 million more to pay out this year. And at this point in time, we may or may not get that $73 million, which means that we would default on payroll checks. That's not a good thing. And you know, we've got to really look at this seriously from our legislative standpoint, that we've got to do something. And of course, I guess this week is the week we've got to do something, or we're going to have a special session. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for our kids. It's unfortunate for our employees at Tulsa Public Schools and all the school districts in the state of Oklahoma. But it's unfortunate for the state of Oklahoma that we're being placed in this situation, because you've got to know what other states think about what they read in the paper about our lack of funding for state services. That's really a problem.
But Gil, when you take a look at what you've done, you have done a tremendous job in trying to supplement and keep the budget from just destroying high school athletics in the Tulsa Public Schools. You may have a few reductions, but nevertheless, you are keeping it alive.
JV, one of the things that we wanted to do when we knew that we were going into this, and I met with Dr. Gist and Deputy Superintendent Shannon and our Chief of Schools, Eric Green, was that we wanted to really affect the fewest number of students and student athletes that we could through the process, both on the academic side and the athletic side. Mm-hmm. We looked at 4 different plans that we presented for consideration. We settled on one plan that would downsize the high school athletics programs. And by downsize, what we were alluding to there would mean that we would look at programs that were underpopulated, did not have enough student athletes to actually make teams. For instance, if you had 2 individuals wanting to play golf, well, you got to have 5 to have a golf team. If you wanted to have a baseball team and you had 8 players, you didn't have a baseball team. We looked at that all the way through. There were some schools that hadn't fielded those teams in 2 or 3 years. So those were easier cuts there, mm-hmm. because it didn't affect any student athletes. One of the things that we looked at the middle school level, which took a 50% cut last year, we went from 2 teams in each grade level for each gender for the sports to 1 team at each grade level. So that was a 50% cut. We lost 70 coaching positions last year in middle school athletics. That's insurmountable in some cases. Okay. But our staff worked very hard to keep kids engaged, and I think they did. What we ended up with in the middle school, because of the graciousness of our corporate partners who have really come forward to help us in interscholastic athletics in Tulsa Public Schools, and we appreciate them so much, the things that they've done for us. We were able, in our student activity fund here at the central office, we were able to isolate $80,000, and that $80,000 would defray having to consolidate, because what we had looked at in middle school was to consolidate our teams even more. In other words, instead of just having one sport per grade level, per gender, per program, we were going to take 11 middle schools and make them into 6, which meant that you would have to have schools joining one another to play football and basketball and volleyball and soccer. The logistic nightmare was going to be unbelievable. But with that $80,000, we're able not to have to do that. It's business as usual. We'll be just like we were a year ago. And I'm so pleased for our kids and for our coaches that we have that opportunity to do that.
Well, you know, and doing that just makes absolutely, for the young kids that's coming on, it's so important for them. And without this, you would lose some of them, wouldn't you?
We certainly would lose some, and I think the feeder program is one of the things that we've really tried to emphasize in TPS since we've been here, that we've got to keep our kids coming through the elementaries to the middle schools to the high schools, so that there's continuity in the kind of programs that we want to have at the high school level. So, yeah, it's quintessential. We have got to have these middle school programs.
We need to take a break, and then we want to come back, and we want to talk about the year in review and what's coming up in athletics in the Tulsa Public Schools. Stay with us here on Inside Tulsa Athletics. A quick timeout, and then we're back with Gil Cloud right after this.
So I work in production, and I help cover a lot of college football games. There's a ton of running and lots of travel all over the place. You might think I'd go with a mega bank for the convenience, but actually I just switched to TTCU. I could have signed up online, but I decided just to walk in, and I'm so glad I did. Just for opening a checking account, they gave me $50 and $50 to a local school. And now when I travel, it's like a little piece of home is always with me. It really is unbeatable.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
Welcome back to Inside Tulsa Athletics as we continue visiting with the Director of Athletics for the Tulsa Public Schools, Gil Cloud. And Gil, what we were talking about, budget and program reduction, we could spend an awful long time on that. And whether we would ever settle it, I don't know. But you've had a great year with the Tulsa Public Schools Athletics. So got to talk about the year in review.
I tell you what, JB, I'm so proud of our student athletes and our coaches, their parents, the supporters of the Tulsa Public Schools. When you think about from a financial standpoint, what we went through this year with $210,000 less to spend on our programs, and yet the success of those programs, it just makes you wonder, how far can we go with these student athletes and these coaches had we had the wherewithal that we had 5 years ago. But we look at this and when we assess, we go by season by season. I meet with our directors and we go through their programs, what were their goals for their program at the 9 high schools and our 11 middle schools. And then we see how far we came in meeting those types of goals. Fall season, we had 9 football teams. We had 5 of them qualify for postseason play. That's really good when you're in a transitionary period. We have 4 4As, 4 5As, and 1 6A. And that number is going to change this next year. We're very aware that Will Rogers will be moving into 5A, their enrollment projection. So we'll have 5 5As and 3 4As and the 1 6A this next year. But to have success at that level, as you're transitioning through different classifications, because it's a different brand of basketball, football, baseball,
yes, sure
soccer, no matter when you go up a class, every time it gets a little more competitive. You have more student athletes involved. Your depth is always really important. So I think those are the things that we've really got to think about as we get into this thing. But the fall season was a good season. We're excited. The volleyball teams played very well this fall. I think there's a tremendous improvement there. That happens to be one of the sports. Football and volleyball are 2 of the sports that are full-blown across the district. All 9 high schools play those programs. And as we talk about reduction, there'll be some programs that are not going to be that robust. Softball, for instance, I think this next year softball will only have 5 softball teams out of 9 schools. That's a program that really needs to improve, I think, over the next 2 or 3 years for us. Obviously, the basketball season was fantastic.
Very good.
At one time, we had 11 teams in postseason play. We end up with 5 teams in the state tournament, and we end up with 3 teams placing first or second. East Central's girls, Sammy did a great job. Sammy Mack did a great job there in getting that gold ball this time, and I kidded him because he called timeouts at the right time this time. Even an old football coach knows when to call timeout. But Sammy did a great job, and that was really good. And Bobby Allison, a return to the state championship after a year that he get beat in the semifinals. And boy, what a great deal there. And then Joe Redmond, who has resigned and is going over to Union. I got to tell you, what a great victory it was at the Mabee Center in prime time against the #1 team in 6A, undefeated 27-0 Union. And Joe had a game plan that the Booker T. Washington Hornets executed to the T, and to beat them and to get into the finals where we had 3 teams playing for the state championship in that afternoon and evening was really gratifying for us to be able to sit back and enjoy that. And I know a lot of hard work for those student athletes and our coaches. The other one, the spring season was obviously one of those things that, with the weather we were on again, off again. We canceled track meets and baseball games and so on and so forth. But I think we really had a good showing in the state track meets. I think everybody was really excited how we finished up, and I feel good, about where we're headed in our direction. We have a number of coaching jobs that are open right now that we'll be filling here in the next couple of weeks. And I'm excited about the level of applicant that we have for those jobs. They're really quality people who want to be a part of TPS athletics, and I feel good about that.
And you seem optimistic that next year we could be better than we were last year.
The best is yet to come.
Man, you can't beat a deal like that. But,
Absolutely.
But I know during the state basketball tournament, that was just incredible that we had all of those teams, and the support that they received, Gil, was great as well.
Oh, we had great crowds. I think, our people stayed with us, stayed with those kids, and they played so well, to get to that level. And to have 5 teams going to the state tournament, to have 3 going to the final night was just unprecedented. And of course, we were really excited about that.
Well, Gil, let me say it's been a pleasure doing the show with you this year, and this being the last of the Inside Tulsa Athletics, but look forward to seeing you next year.
We'll be back, JV, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank Josh and his crew at OK Preps. I think outstanding production, and I want to thank all of our coaches and our athletic directors who appeared on the show. I think that's something they have to take time out of their day to come and do this, and we appreciate promoting their program.
Well, we appreciate it as well. Stay with us on Inside Tulsa Athletics. Closing comments coming up right after this.
Are you suffering from stuff? Stuff you don't know how to get rid of? Go to TulsaRefuse.org. Learn how to get rid of stuff easily and properly. TulsaRefuse.org. Just give us a click. It's that simple.
Hope you enjoyed the show today on Inside Tulsa Athletics, and certainly we enjoyed bringing it to you and working with you the entire year as we covered the athletic programs in the Tulsa Public Schools. And our thanks to Gil Cloud and his staff for the excellent job they do in helping you see good athletics in the Tulsa Public Schools. And again, we'll see you again next fall right here on Inside Tulsa Athletics.